Ever wonder how top businesses catch bad reviews before they go public while racking up hundreds of 5-star ratings? They don't do it manually. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build and the behind the scenes feedback engine. And in this, we're going to automatically ask for feedback, filter the happy clients to your Google review page, and instantly ping your phone if a client is unhappy and needs an apology. So let's dive right in. So on the screen, you can see that there are 3 workflows, and for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take an example for a plumbing company. So in this Excel sheet, I have some responses right here. And for the sake of this video, we are going to test the responses for a plumbing job. So as you can see that we have a form response right here. So good, rook still leaking, nothing, and what's the job ID, and if the job was done. So if the client was happy or not. So these are some sample fields that we have got. And in this job sheet, we log all of the jobs which are done by our workers. So these are some hypothetical workers, John, Chris, and what was the job date, what's the status, feedback sent, feedback score, and all that. So you can consider this as a plumbing feedback system just for the demo of this video, but the whole heart of the workflow is to build a good customer reputation. So let's understand the first workflow. So in here you can see that the workflow is going to start with a Google Sheets trigger. And how this is going to work is that the Google Sheets trigger is connected to the plumber feedback system as I showed you on the sheet, and the sheet we are using is the jobs one. So this is the sheet which we are referencing in the Google Sheets trigger, and it's going to watch for the status. So once the status says send feedback request, so this has 4 statuses, and once the job is complete, it's going to be automatically logged in the sheet which with this status, which is send feedback request. And in here you can see we are going to watch the column status. So whenever there is a change in the status, this workflow is going to get triggered. And after that, once the workflow is triggered, we are going to filter the statuses that we have got with the send feedback request. Because if the status says send feedback request, that means that we still need to send the client the form that the client needs to submit to record their feedback. So we're going to filter that once, and then we're going to build the form URL, which is going to be custom for every single client. And then we just send them an email and mark the feedback as sent. I'm going to quickly execute the workflow as it is not published yet, and you can see how it works behind the scenes. The job is done, it gets logged. This workflow is going to get automatically triggered like this. It's going to look for the rows, and we are going to filter the ones which have the status as send feedback request. As you can see that we had got this and this. And on the left side, we can see as in input, the status says send feedback request. And since it got matched with this field right here, the output is, after the filter node, it kept only one item which had that send feedback request, and the other 2 got discarded because it said feedback sent. And once we have filtered the data and we have got the row that we desired, we are going to build the form URL with the help of a JavaScript code node, and I have hard coded this part right here, and in that we are just going to encode the name and the job ID of the person who had done the job. So after this, I'm going to receive an email. I'm just going to show you the email as well that I've got. So this is the email. Hi Chris, thank you for choosing us. Before you head to Google, I want to make sure you're completely happy with the work. If anything wasn't right, I want the chance to fix it first. Mind taking 2 minutes to let me know how we did. So this is going to be the mail that the client receives, and it's going to have a form and a closing statement. Your honest feedback means everything to a small business like ours. Thanks, Dipankar, CEO of the plumbing company, 121212. This will be your phone number of the business. So let's click on the form and click and submit the form. So you can see the job ID and the client name has been already populated with the help of the code node which we used right here. As you can see that we had encoded the name of the client and the job ID because the client doesn't know about the job ID, and it helps us to keep a track of everything in a clean manner. So in the form right here, I'm going to just say 5. So I said this, what did we do well? I'm just gonna say your job, okay? And then I'm gonna just click submit, and the response is gonna be recorded. as this is what happens in Google Forms. And if we get back to our Google Sheet, you can see the row which said send feedback. And if we come back to a Google Sheet, you can remember the status that we saw earlier which said send feedback request has been changed to feedback sent automatically. And the feedback sent date has also been populated right now, because in our workflow, after when we send an email, we have added a Google Sheet node which marks the feedback as sent as it updates the status, because we don't want to pull the same row again and again. That's why the updation is important. And if I execute this workflow again, this is not going to execute completely till this node, because now the row has been updated and there is no status which says send feedback request. So it's going to discard all of those. So let's execute this workflow again, and you're going to see that it's going to just stop here, right here, just like that. And you can see that it has discarded these 3 items because we have updated the status to feedback has sent. So now the purpose of this workflow is finished. It was just to send the client the URL of the form and collect their data and collect their feedback, and also to mark the feedback as sent. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward. And now let's jump on to the second workflow. And in this workflow, we are going to analyze the feedback response that we have got. And you would remember that I had filled in that I was very satisfied, they did a great job and all that. So it's going to analyze that response. It's going to format the output as well. And it's going to detect if the client is happy or unhappy. And based on that, if the client is happy, it's going to send an email to the client, in this case, me. It's going to acknowledge my response and also update the jobs. And it's also going to take this done part right over here, because it's going to mark the client as happy. So let's just quickly execute this. So in this filter node, you can see that we are going to see that the JSON done is false. Chris, on a scale of 1 to 5, how happy you are working with us? I said 5, everything was great, I'm satisfied. And then we have an LLM node right here, which is going to analyze our response. So in this, you can see that there's an input of our form, which was on a scale of 1 to 5, how did we do it? Everything was great, I'm satisfied. And in this user message, you can see that I have populated all of that with the help of this variable. So the client just submitted the form, plumbing job, client, rating 5 and all that. And in this, I have just specified a small system prompt right here, which is going to say, you are helping a local plumber manage client relationships. Be warm, be genuine, be human, but never sound corporate. Keep apologies short and actionable. So this is just a small system prompt, but since the client was satisfied, we don't have any apology and the sentiment is happy as I filled in the form. So as it has analyzed, we are going to format the output, and with the help of this Google Sheet node, which is the read sheet, it's going to get the client from a job to pick up their email. And since the job ID was automatically populated in the form, we've got the job ID from the Google Sheet, and we have got all of the data for that client, the email, the client name, the job type, the job date and everything. And once you have got that, we are just going to map all of those fields using this set node, which is going to help us draft an email later on. And since my form submission was happy, in this if node, you can see that in this format output, with the help of this format.json.rating, you can see that the rating that I had given it was 5. And in the expression, you can see right here, I'm using a number which is a greater than or equal to. So it's only going to send the client to the happy branch if the rating is above than 4 or equal to 4. If it is less than 4, then it's going to send that to the unhappy branch, and then I'm going to get alerted on my Telegram messenger. I'm going to send the apology email to the client and also update the job sheet as issue flagged, ask the person what did they do wrong in the job and why the client is unhappy, try to get their part of the story as well. And then we're going to tick mark the done column as the client is unhappy. And in the same branch, you can see that we are also going to alert the plumber, because it's also necessary for the plumber to know that the client that they just served is unhappy. So with the help of this workflow, this does 2 things. It analyzes the responses, and if the response is happy, it's going to send an acknowledgement email to the client that it's been great working with you and updates the Google Sheet. And if the response of the client was bad, if the client was unhappy, it's going to flag that to you as well as the plumber who served the client. So this helps you keep everything on the edge as soon as the client fills the form, and this helps you take action really quick, and it reduces the time that you spend on admin tasks. So let's see the email that we have received, which is going to be our acknowledgement email that we have got. So the acknowledgement email says, "Hi Chris, really glad to hear the job went well. Thank you for taking the time to let me know. If you have 2 minutes, a Google review would mean the world to a small business like ours. It helps other local homeowners to find a plumber they can trust." So here you can insert your Google review link. and the client can click that link, post a review on Google, and you can also avail them a discount. And after that, if you want, you can also avail them a discount. But we only send them this Google review link, but you must have noticed something. So what happens after this, that the client can click this Google review link, they can post the review, and then you can just provide them a discount next time if they hire you for a plumbing job. And the beauty of this, as this email which contains the Google review link is only be going to the clients who are happy with the plumbing service and not to the ones who are not happy. So in the n8n workflow right here, you can see in the unhappy branch, which is the false branch, if the rating is less than 4, we're going to send an apology email to the client, which is not going to contain the Google review link, because we don't want bad reviews on our Google page. Because if anybody is going to search for a plumbing job and if they find bad reviews, it's not going to look good for a business who is just starting out. Which leads me on to the third workflow, which is going to be the weekly summary workflow. And in this, you can see that this workflow triggers on a cron job, which is weekly on a Monday. So it's going to automatically trigger on every Monday, and it's going to read all of the jobs which is inside your Google Sheets. It's going to read all of the feedback responses, bundle all of the rows, analyze everything that was done in the past week, and it's going to send you a customer reputation report, which is going to contain everything: how your customer relations are looking, how your website is looking, how your customer reputation is looking, what plumbers were flagged, what were the reasons of the issue being raised, if the rating was low. Everything will be flagged over here, and basically you are going to receive a weekly report without doing anything in your email inbox every week that you log in on your laptop. So let's just execute this workflow and see how it looks. So once you publish all these workflows, it's going to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You won't have to touch a thing unless you want to change the system prompt or change any functionality inside this. So as you can see, the workflow has been executed completely. And in this weekly summary, let's see what this has generated. Haram Brook's skills still leaking, top praise. Everything was great. I'm satisfied. So it has the open issue names, it has the top praise, it has the top complaint, which is none. Inside good, this week's feedback was perfect, 5 on 5 score, showing excellent and satisfying work. And it says it's a perfect 5 of 5 week, and it is not flagging this part, which is open issue, because in the Google Sheet you can see the date of the job. The date of the job right here, it was 12th April 2026. And the job which was flagged where the client was not happy, as you can see the issue was flagged, it was done on 12th January 2026. That's why it's going to that's why it's showing that it's a perfect week, which consists of only one job. That's why it's showing a perfect week. But with the help of the date, you can also come up with these insights and the insights attention and the insight action. So once you have seen this with the help of this AI agent, I can also show you the mail that I've received. It is going to be this one. And it's a proper HTML formatted weekly reputation report, which is going to have a job completed, average score this week, the response rate, an open issue. It's going to have this week's insight, good, needs attention, action today, and what are the things that the client said. So imagine this, you are going to receive a weekly reputation report which looks this beautiful every single week about your business, and also at the same time the plumbers are also getting alerts if they don't do a great job. They are being acknowledged about their feedback responses, if they were good, if they were happy, or if they were unhappy. And this simple automation system, which consists of only 3 workflows, takes care of an entire customer reputation system, and it's really helpful for businesses who are just starting out and they want to rack up a lot of Google reviews, or they just want to reduce the time they spend on admin tasks. So if you like the whole architecture of the workflow and how everything works on the back end, you can get access to this full JSON of the workflow and the documentation on how you can set this up in your own n8n instance and use this in your own business and reduce the time you spend on admin tasks, and also step a foot inside the automation world. And once you do this, you're literally scaling without increasing headcount. And on that note, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. And if you want access to this workflow, it will be linked down below in the description. I'm gonna be coming up with more interesting automations and content on AI like this. Thanks again for watching this video till the end. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.